Today's lesson will be day 2 of Intro to Percents. We're going to be adding the half sheet that has the 3 types of percent problems to our notebook and the 3 problems that are U-try problems. Please update your table of contents for page 34 and page 35. And below you will notice a few more places percentages are used in our lives. We have nutrition facts, the recommended daily value for the different types or amounts. Sales, obviously a huge one, 30% off, 40% off. So ways we could save money. And then in school, of course, percentages used for your grade calculations. So on your 3 types of percent problem sheet, I just want to walk through where these values came from. We always have 100 in the bottom right. That is our percent, the cent part, per 100. The percent value, 35 per 100, 35 over 100. And then of 80 means we know the whole amount. So 80 lines up with the 100. And then we would do 35 divided by 100, convert 35% into a decimal, which is times 0.35 on the right side. So we do times 0.35 on the left side, and the answer would go here. So 80 times 0.35 would be our answer. But the main thing is we're talking about how to do the setup on this note sheet. Okay, B is that we're going to find an unknown percent. So some percent of 90 is 63. So we have our 100 in the bottom. We don't know our percent this time. So up here, it's going to be blank. Of 90 means we're taking a part of the whole amount, which is 90. Sorry, my cat is very chatty in the background. And the percent of 90 is 63, meaning 63 is the part of 90. Now, in order to figure out the percent, we have to divide 63 divided by 90, and that will get us 0.7. So we're going to be doing 0.7 is being multiplied here. 90 times 0.7 would be 63. So 100 times 0.7 is going to equal the answer, which is 70% in this case. Down here, we're going to have an unknown whole amount. We're taking 25% of something is 5.5. So our 100 is always in the bottom right. 25% goes over the 100, 25 per 100 of blank. So we don't know the whole amount is 5.5. So 5.5 is the part. Now in this one, it's unique because we're going from the numerator to the denominator. And these other ones, we went from the denominator, to the numerator. Here we have the denominator and we have an unknown numerator. Here we have an unknown denominator. Therefore, we're going backwards. So instead of going 100 times 0.25, we're going to say 25 divided by 0.25. And we have to do the same thing on both sides. So this is the one situation where we have to divide. So 5.5 divided by 0.25 would be our value. And I am going to take my calculator and actually calculate that. It would be, I think I typed it wrong on my calculator. Hold on. It's going to be 22. So this value here is 22. And if you did want to fill in your value up here for part A, 80 times 0.35 is 28. And I had already said this one was 70%. So the setup is we put the part over the whole, and we always have the percent value over 100. So here's what the note sheet looks like pre-done for you. I recommend you highlight certain things. So like the percentage, 35%, you would highlight this one color, and then you would highlight all of this one color. Same thing over here. The percent side, you would highlight the box and the 100. 25%, you would highlight that the same color as all the other percents and the 100. And then the ofs, so anything with of is the whole amount. So of 80 should be a different highlighted color. Of 90, so that's going to go down in the bottom left. So you would be highlighting the 80, you'd be highlighting the 90. And then on this one of blank, so I would outline the box here, that same color. So in this here, and then last but not least, we would do the unknown part or the known part. So here, find 35% of 80. The unknown part is what we're finding, so that would be the box. Here, is 63 is the unknown part. So is 63 should be highlighted a different color, and then 63 would be highlighted that same color. And then is 5.5. So the is goes in the top left, and that's for our 5.5. Okay, on page 35, you're going to be trying these U-try problems. So I will be explaining how to do the bar model for reasonableness, but I do want you trying to actually find the answer. So on number 1, we're trying to find what percent, so meaning the percent is unknown. So 10 is what percent of 25. So I would like you to pause the video and try the U-try for the proportion, and then I'll explain the bar model. So for the bar model, we have 0 and we have 100%, and then we have 0 and we have the whole amount, which is 25. So for reasonableness, we can always compare to 50%. So half of 25 is 12.5. So 10 is less than 50%, because half of 25 is 12.5 and 10 is less than 12.5. So the 10 would go about here. So if we solve this, we're going to see, is our answer reasonable? It should be something less than 50, but kind of close to 50, because 10 is close to 12.5. So we have an unknown percent in our setup. 10 is the is part, so that's the part. So it's going to be 10 over, the of is 25, so over 25. And so we'll do, there's different relationships on this one. You could look at 25 times 4 is 100. 10 times 4, it would be 40 then. You could do 25 times what is 10. So 10 divided by 25 is 0.4. So 100 times 0.4 is 40. So whether you do this relationship or this one, you are going to get 40%. And then if we look at our bar model, 40% is reasonable because it's less than 50, and 10 is less than half of 25. So yes, it's reasonable, and our answer is 40%. Please remember to have your percent symbol, because that is the units for percent. Okay, on this one, 156 is what you need to fill in, is what, is 78% of what number? So 156 is 78% of what number? So if we set up our bar model for reasonableness, we're going to do 0, 50%, and 100. We're trying to figure out the whole number. So we don't know the value above 100. We're trying to figure out 78% of that number, and 156 is 78% of that number. So we're gonna have to try to see if our answer is reasonable. So 78 is the percent, so that's over 100. 156 is, so that is the part, and then of what number, so we don't know the whole number. So 78 divided by 100 is 0.78. So to go that direction, it's times 0.78. But on this one, we're going from the numerator to the denominator. So we need to do the reverse, which is divide by 0.78. And I'm going to pause for a moment and go back to this note sheet. So if you look at this note sheet, an unknown whole, this is the one where it shows you're going to have to divide to find the value. So when we have an unknown value, we're going to have to, divide. So we're back to this, we're dividing, and we get 200. So if we put, and we can also see that the relationship here, to go from 100 to 200, it's times 2, and 78 times 2 is 156. And 200 then is our answer. Is it reasonable? Yes, 156 is less than 200, but it's kind of close to it. Half of 200 would be 100, so it makes sense. And the answer is 200. So for part 3, 4 is what percent of 80? So we're trying to find an unknown percent again. So we have 0 and we have 100, we have 0 and we have 80. And it says what percent? So if we look at 50, 4 is way over here. So this means the percent should be very small. It'll be less than 25%. It'll be less, possibly even than 5%. We're going to see how close we can get. So we do 100. We don't know the percent. So here it's blank. Of 80 is the whole amount. 4 is the part. And so we do 4 divided by 80, and we see that it is 0.05, and 100 times 0.05 converts it back to a percent, which is 5%. So here it makes sense that this is a very small percent because 4 is a small part of 80, and our answer is 5%. The last thing for today was the classwork. So you should do these U-Try problems, and please use this following answer bank to see how you're doing. And that's the end of this lesson video.